Well, hey guys, in today's video, we're going to be talking about dark patches around the mouth. Discoloration around the mouth is a pretty common skin concern. It can be related to a primary skin condition like atopic dermatitis or perioral dermatitis. These are inflammatory skin conditions, and as they heal, they leave behind a dark mark. It's called post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation, and that can take a very long time to fade, depending on how long the primary skin condition lasted and how severe it was. You also can develop dark patches around the mouth related to a medication you might be taking or certain lifestyle factors like smoking. However, for a lot of people, dark patches around the mouth are actually perfectly normal parts of your skin's natural makeup. These are called pigmentary demarcation lines. Pigmentary demarcation lines are also called Voigt's lines or Futcher's lines. These are lines that represent abrupt demarcations between two distinct zones of skin, one more deeply pigmented and the other of a lighter pigmentation. These lines happen on the body as well as the face, and these lines likely come about as a result of how the pigment cells migrate throughout the body to end up where they're supposed to go as you are developing as an embryo. They're most obvious in people with medium to deep skin tones, but they can happen actually in anyone. They're more common on certain sites on the trunk as opposed to the head, on the upper arms, and they often extend onto the chest. They also can be obvious on the backs of the thighs. In some cases, you'll see vertical lines right around the sternum of the chest, and in some cases you can see these streaks around the clavicles on both sides. Those are called pigmentary demarcation lines, but they can also appear on the face in a couple of areas most often. These lines can appear as a V shape around the upper cheek to the temple or a W shape on the upper cheek to the temple. Pigmentary demarcation lines that appear around the mouth, they appear as these linear bands of hyperpigmentation extending from the corners of the mouth down to the chin. Again, these are perfectly normal. You can really see them in a lot of people, and they're very common. They often appear around the time of puberty. Because of the influence our hormones have on pigment production, pigmentary demarcation lines can become a lot more obvious with pregnancy or with certain hormonal birth control pills. For women who develop these or they become more noticeable in pregnancy, oftentimes they may fade a bit with delivery, but they may be more noticeable with subsequent pregnancies. There are other skin conditions that can appear around the mouth and look similar to pigmentary demarcation lines. Did you know you can actually develop melasma around your mouth? Melasma is a hyperpigmentation condition that often affects women, again, influenced by hormones, often comes out in pregnancy, and of course it's driven by sun exposure. But melasma looks different. It's a lot more blotchy and irregular, and it doesn't just localize to these areas. Melasma can happen on the cheeks, the forehead, bridge of the nose, whereas pigmentary demarcation lines, they're not going to involve the upper lip. They're not going to be splotchy. It's going to be more of a band. As I said at the beginning of this video, a lot of people develop post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation around the mouth related to underlying skin conditions. Maybe you developed a contact dermatitis to a lip product or a cosmetic product, a skincare product, and it healed with hyperpigmentation around the mouth. That is going to be a lot more irregular in terms of the borders of the hyperpigmentation. Saliva can break down the barrier at the corners of the mouth, and that can lead to something called angular cheilitis, where a little yeast takes over. I have a video all about that as a side note. So that can heal with hyperpigmentation, but it's much different from these pigmentary demarcation lines in that you're going to have a history of irritation around the mouth, whereas pigmentary demarcation lines are just going to subtly appear there almost out of nowhere gradually over time, and they do get oftentimes deeper, more apparent as you age and with sun exposure. You also can develop something called acanthosis nigricans around your mouth. This is commonly seen in people who have insulin resistance or type 2 diabetes. It's often seen on the back of the neck, under the arms, the sides of the face, but sometimes, very rarely, it can happen around the mouth. But it's uncommon for it to happen as this band extending from the corners of the mouth. And with acanthosis nigricans, the skin there is thickened. So if you look to the side, there is some texture of thickened dark skin. Pigmentary demarcation lines, they are not elevated. They are within your skin, so completely flat within the skin. So how do you get rid of pigmentary demarcation lines? You don't. They are part of who you are. They are genetic, they are likely inherited. And remember, that is how you developed as an embryo, to have a population of pigment-producing cells that line up in this way. Now, these can become more apparent. They can darken with sun exposure. So wearing sunscreen is important, but wearing sunscreen and protecting your skin from the sun is not going to get rid of these. With age, they may get worse. They don't require any treatment. They are a part of your natural makeup. But if you are bothered by the appearance, you may be wondering, well, what could be done to lighten them? Truthfully, there are no treatments that have been shown to produce reliable, predictable responses for pigmentary demarcation lines. A lot of things have been tried. Sun protection may help in at least reducing the chances that they darken, because they can get deeper with sun exposure. What about things that we use to treat hyperpigmentation, like hydroquinone? There are some cases where these lighten a bit with hydroquinone, but if you'll recall from my videos on hydroquinone, it comes with side effects. So while it's safe and effective for treating hyperpigmentation like post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation or melasma, it has side effects. One of the more common side effects of hydroquinone is irritation. Anything that causes irritation to the skin of people who have deeper skin tones actually can lead to post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. So not only is the hydroquinone not that effective for pigmentary demarcation lines, I mean, you might get some lightening, but not much. It's not predictable, but it comes with that risk of irritation that could lead to a lot of hyperpigmentation around the mouth. And so it's not ideal. Other people have also gotten some results in terms of lightening with what's called Kligman's formula or triple combination cream, basically a combination of hydroquinone. Hydroquinone targets the enzyme tyrosinase that leads to pigment production and is toxic to melanocytes, along with tretinoin, a retinoid that increases cell turnover, allowing for improved clearance of epidermal pigment, and a steroid that can suppress inflammation. You may get some lightening with the Kligman formula, triple combination cream, or the prescription branded formula Triluma, but it's not reliable and can cause side effects. The steroid in Triluma, if used long-term inappropriately, can actually result in hypopigmentation, meaning taking away your skin color. It also can cause perioral dermatitis, which can lead to post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation, and it can cause skin thinning if used long-term. Tretinoin also can be irritating, so there's that to consider. So all that to say, someone might get some results with triple combination cream for fading pigmentary demarcation lines, but it's not going to be a predictable response. Similarly, some people get some lightening with glycolic acid, but again, that can be irritating, and it's not going to actually take this away. It may help in lightening it a bit, especially if there is some overlying hyperpigmentation in the epidermis, but it's not really going to take away that population of cells. Some people pursue laser treatments and get some lightening, but again, it's not a predictable response. The main reason I wanted to make this video for you guys is so many people have this, and a lot of people are bothered by it, and they don't know what it is. So hopefully this video illustrates to you what it is, but importantly, that stuff that may be marketed to you for dark marks, for hyperpigmentation, it's not going to work for this. And if anything, it can cause too much irritation to your skin that would otherwise lead to hyperpigmentation on top of the pigmentary demarcation lines. The other thing I want to point out is I see a lot of forums online talking about natural remedies to address this, and they often involve using things like lemon juice, baking soda, essential oils, all sorts of protocols as a natural DIY remedy to lighten these. Those are not going to do anything but put you at risk for irritation that can lead to worsening hyperpigmentation, because lemon juice, while it may have vitamin C, which is an antioxidant that may help with some types of hyperpigmentation, lemon juice, for example, not only can it be super irritating, but God forbid you go out in the sun with lemon juice on your skin, it can cause what's called a phytophotodermatitis. Basically, compounds in lemon juice on your skin interacting with UV rays from the sun lead to a blistering rash that will heal with hyperpigmentation that can take a very long time to fade. So I want to caution you against that. Things that people come in contact with around their mouth that can lead to irritation include certain spices. Cinnamon, for example, nutmeg, cayenne pepper. These can be irritating on the skin, and that actually can cause discoloration around the mouth. So that may be contributory. Likewise, if you are someone who has chapped lips or dry lips and you lick your lips frequently, the saliva can irritate the skin around your mouth and aggravate hyperpigmentation. It's called lip lickers dermatitis. It actually can get quite robust and quite intense in terms of the discoloration. And something that can lead to that is the use of lip balms that are tasty. You inadvertently lick them because they are flavored with things that taste good. And so that ends up leading to the deposition of saliva around your mouth. That saliva breaks down your skin barrier and it also evaporates, pulling more water out of your skin. Ultimately, that leads to dryness and irritation. Unfortunately, the response to that is to grab more of that lip balm, because it's difficult to make the connection that it's actually the lip balm causing the problem. Because when you put the lip balm on, it's soft, it's smooth, everything feels good, but it actually is what's causing the problem for you, because it's encouraging you to lick your lips, or ingredients in lip balms can actually be pretty irritating. For example, flavorants, which I already mentioned, not only because they may encourage you to lick the lips, but they are a common irritant in lip balms. Also, fragrance is a common irritant in lip balms. Certain medicated lip balms have ingredients in them that are kind of soothing on immediate application, but actually can be quite irritating around the mouth and to the skin. Namely, those things in the popular lip balm Carmex. Carmex has camphor in it that may feel soothing on application, but ultimately can be pretty irritating to the skin of the lips. The best thing that you can do for hyperpigmentation, dark patches around the mouth, is to protect the skin there by using a broad spectrum sunscreen. We have actually come to learn that when it comes to hyperpigmentation, like post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation, for example, that sunscreens that have iron oxides in them may help a little bit more in terms of clearing up hyperpigmentation, because they may offer some protection against visible light, which we know contributes to hyperpigmentation. Now, to be clear, the iron oxides, the sunscreen, they're not going to erase pigmentary demarcation lines. Those are part of your biology. They're not going to erase those. And visible light doesn't necessarily have anything to do with those. But what it's going to protect from is hyperpigmentation related to excessive sun exposure that could otherwise make those pigmentary demarcation lines more obvious, more cosmetically unacceptable to you. The other option is concealer to cover them up if they bother you cosmetically. All right, guys, that's what I wanted to chat with you about for today's video. Pigmentary demarcation lines as a cause of dark patches around the mouth, explaining what causes them, and hopefully illustrating to you that the serums, the skin lightening ingredients out there, they're not going to really address this problem. It's not a problem in my opinion, because it's just part of who you are, your skin makeup. And in my opinion, there's nothing wrong with the way that they look. But if they bother you cosmetically, don't be fooled into buying a bunch of skincare products aimed at skin lightening or trying some DIY that could go awry. Pigmentary demarcation lines can also explain why a lot of people have dark circles around their eyes. We often talk about those being hereditary dark circles. In some cases, they are an extension of pigmentary demarcation lines, Futcher's lines or Voigt's lines. Let me know in the comments if you have ever heard of these, or maybe you have noticed them on yourself or someone else, whether it be around your mouth or maybe on your arms, your legs, like the backs of the thighs, or your chest or your back. Let me know in the comments. They are very common. Nothing to be embarrassed about. It's just how our bodies are made. And if you guys enjoyed this video, on the end slate, I'm going to link my recent video all about dark spots that skincare products will not get rid of. So you want to watch that next, especially if you're dealing with hyperpigmentation of any sort. But if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends. And as always, don't forget, sunscreen and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.